Hello again. Here's another yes or no question. This one is fracking okay? Oh dear, just the word sounds a bit ominous. But what fracking is, it's a short word for hydraulic fracturing. It's a process whereby high pressure water and sand is forced down into the ground, causing rock formations to crack, thus releasing oil and gas, principally natural gas. And so it's another form of finding fossil energy. Uh, as I'm making this video now, the situation in the UK is that it's not going to happen, at least for the time being, for a variety of reasons, which I'll comment on later. But it's had a huge impact in the US, and I think it's worth talking about because it's quite a controversial subject. Okay, so there are arguments for and against. The for arguments, yes, it's okay, have to do principally with economics, but also there's some political components to it as well. What the process has done has been to release massive amounts of natural gas and oil out, particularly out in the Great Plains area of the U.S. So much so that at some point, I think perhaps now, but certainly in the recent past, it has made the USA the world's largest oil producer. It just seems unbelievable. And as a consequence of that, it has basically eliminated its dependence upon the Middle East for oil supplies. As you can imagine, for a lot of people, that's a pretty positive outcome. It has also driven down the cost of energy, and particularly fuel for cars. It has had a somewhat negative result in that it's driven more people into their cars in America, and thus there's been something of an uptick in emissions from automobiles, although they're pretty strictly controlled these days. But the overall emission situation, the overall air quality count in the U.S. has declined noticeably, principally because the availability of this economical source of fuel has displaced coal. And of course, coal is the principal contributor to bad air everywhere. That's the principal reason why China's air in many places is virtually unbreathable, because they're the world's largest coal consumer and burner. The interesting political implication here, of course, is that not only is the U.S. less dependent upon oil from the Middle East, but the very process of introducing the fuel from these places has driven down the price of energy, driven the oil price down, simply because it's introduced far greater supply into world markets. And consumption has not kept pace with the increase in supply, so that's why we've had rock bottom prices in fuel in recent years. That's not only been bad for the Middle Eastern countries, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and so forth, but also for Russia. Russia at one time was, I believe, the world's largest oil producer. And so the fact that they're in a bit of a budget squeeze from the standpoint of the Americans can't be all bad news. And then finally, the introduction of fracking has produced a lot of jobs. So money has been made, so there's some fairly happy economic and political consequences from fracking. Well, what are some of the objections to it? Well, there is, of course, the disruption that the fracking process causes in local geography. The notion of a huge amount of transport of fuel in and out in big trucks and so forth is for some people is quite unpleasant. That's probably what killed it in the UK. Certainly one of the reasons. Next part of the process of producing and processing the products from fracking involve the release of methane. Now, methane theoretically should be consumed in the process, but not all industrial operations are equally efficient and leak-proof and so forth. And the release of large quantities of methane is particularly a contributor to global warming. We don't want any more of that. Furthermore, there are some indications that there might be earthquakes. Of course, when you're forcing areas of rock to crack up, that's going to cause some disturbance underground, and there have been instances of tremors and earthquakes of varying magnitudes in communities near to where the fracking is taking place. It's got to be kind of an unpleasant experience, I would have thought. And again, because of the relative size and population densities involved in the UK, that would be another reason why they'd not be a very happy process to be introduced into the UK. I suspect at some point, however, that may be reversed. Okay, what's my take? Well, of course, it's got kind of a mixed environmental message, but a very positive economic one. If I were a politician in America trying to decide what to do about this, I think I would suggest that it continue. Here in the UK, it's a lot less attractive, although the UK is, in the long run, quite on the spot for energy supply. The North Sea oil is dried up. There are political uncertainties about future trade flows because of Brexit and other strife in the world, and so the UK may well have to do something to safeguard its energy supply. So that could come back, albeit in a more constrained and disciplined way than currently exists in the US. So that's my take. It's kind of a tough call, pretty interesting subject. Has a certain amount of drama to it with that word fracking, and well, it could be part of all of our futures. So let's wait and see. Anyway, hope you liked that. If you did, give me a like, subscribe, notification, and I'll see you with the next one. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.